Students, in the last video session, we have derived equation for time period, frequency, velocity, and radius of electron revolving in Bohr's orbit. And we have also learned outstanding features of Bohr's atomic model and Rutherford's atomic model. And we have even derived equation for radius, velocity, time period, frequency. And today in this session, we will be finding equations of energy of an electron which is revolving in Bohr's orbit. So as we already have got equation for R, we have got equation for R, we have got equation for V, we have got equation for T, and we have got equation for frequency also. Now first we will write equation for kinetic energy, and then we will find out equation for potential energy, and then you will sum up them so that you will get total energy of the electron which is revolving in Bohr's orbit. So as we know, kinetic energy is equal to half m v square. We have already got equation for V, right? You can just substitute that V here. Kinetic energy will be equal to half m into V is velocity which we have derived in the previous video session. You can just substitute that velocity equation here. It is 2 pi k e square z divided by h into n whole square. Now this gives you kinetic energy is equal to 2 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square into m z square divided by n square, where m is mass of the electron. 2 pi square k is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, e is charge of the electron, h square is constant. So here 2 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square is equal to some constant. Therefore, if you take this all as constant, you can write kinetic energy is directly proportional to m z square divided by n square. So kinetic energy of the electron is directly proportional to square of the atomic number. As atomic number increases, the kinetic energy of the electron concerned with that particular electron also increases. Similarly, kinetic energy of an electron is also inversely proportional to square of principal quantum number. As n value increases, kinetic energy decreases. So it means that the kinetic energy of electron in the orbit which is closer to nucleus will have greater kinetic energy than that of the electron which is in the farther orbit. So in the valence orbit, electron will have some kinetic energy. It is less than the kinetic energy of the electron which is revolving around the nucleus in the closer paths. That is equation for kinetic energy. And next we can derive equation for potential energy. And we know potential energy between two charged particles, U is equal to K into Q1 into Q2 divided by R. This is equation which we discussed in, like you will be learning this in electrostatics. Just I'll substitute all the values here. Radius of Bohr's orbit I'll substitute in this expression. So potential energy will be equal to, of course, potential energy is negative, minus K into Z E into E divided by radius of Bohr's orbit. If I substitute Rn value here, you can write minus K Z E square into 4 pi square m into K Z E square divided by n square h square, and this can be simply written as minus 4 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square into m z square divided by n square. So clearly you can understand that kinetic energy and potential energy both are directly proportional to atomic number, square of the atomic number, and inversely proportional to square of principal quantum number. We have got equations for kinetic energy and potential energy. For total energy, you will just add these two equations. We have derived equation for kinetic energy. We have derived equation for potential energy. I'll add those two. So it will be total energy is equal to kinetic energy is 2 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square into z square m divided by n square, and potential energy it is minus 4 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square into z square m divided by n square. And in both terms, whatever the common values we have, we will just bring it out. So it will be minus 2 pi square k square e power 4 divided by h square into m z square divided by n square. M is mass of the electron, and all these parameters are constants. E is charge of the electron, K is constant, pi value you can take it as 3.14, and K is 9 into 10 power 9, and E is charge of the electron 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. H is Planck's constant, which is 1.6 into 10 power minus 34. M is mass of the electron. Mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 power minus 27. Sorry, minus 30 kg. You can just substitute all these values here, and total energy will be obtained as minus 13.6 z square divided by n square. This is equation for total energy of charged particle. If you substitute all these constant terms, and if you just evaluate them, you will be getting equation for total energy of the electron in the Bohr's orbit. It is minus 13.6 into z square by n square, and n can be equal to 0, 1, 2, so on. Of course, sorry, n can be equal to 1, 2, 3, so on, and these are principal quantum numbers. And total energy is directly proportional to square of the atomic number, and total energy is inversely proportional to square of principal quantum number, right? And this negative sign represents that it is bounded system. The electron is bounded over there. Electron is bound to the nucleus. So therefore, this negative sign represents that potential energy is greater than that of kinetic energy. Now for hydrogen atom, Z will be equal to 1, and for N is equal to 1 and Z is equal to 1, total energy will be equal to minus 13.6 electron volt. This is in the first orbit. So electron, total energy of the electron in Bohr's first orbit will be equal to minus 13.6 electron volt, and for N is equal to 2, total energy will be equal to minus 13.6 divided by n square. It is 2 square will be 4 electron volt. This is in the second orbit. Likewise, n is equal to 3. Total energy will be equal to minus 13.6 electron volt divided by 9. This is for electron in the third orbit. So coming from innermost orbit to outermost orbit, as n value goes on increases, the energy decreases. So therefore, the total energy of the electron which is in the core will be greater than that of total energy which is out. Therefore, in order to remove an electron from outermost orbit, it is very easy because its total energy is less. But whereas in case of removing an electron from the orbit which is closer to the nucleus, as it is bounded with an energy of 13.6 electron volt, you need to provide that much energy for an electron to knock out the electron from that orbit. So this is one important conclusion. Based on this total energy calculation, we can explain hydrogen spectrum, right? So as we know, the energy difference between first orbit, second orbit, third orbit. There is difference between first energy of first orbit and second orbit and third orbit. So in order to remove an electron from first orbit, you need to provide an energy of minus 13.6 electron volt. Similarly for second and as well as third also. There is some energy difference, delta E, between E1 and E2. Likewise, this is delta E12. Likewise, delta E23 is equal to E2 minus E3, so on. So corresponding to this energy difference of electrons energy in orbits, if you are providing sufficient energy to electron in those orbits, then they can be undergoing transition. Electron from one energy level can undergo transition to another energy level. From innermost orbit, it can reach outermost orbit, vice versa. Corresponding to such electron transition in between the energy levels, you will be emitted with some radiations due to transition of electron, and that is said to be hydrogen spectrum. And this happens not only for hydrogen, for all elements. There will be some energy released whenever an electron is undergoing transition. And in Bohr's third postulate, it has already been discussed that whenever an electron is undergoing transition from higher energy level to lower energy level, it releases the energy which is equal to energy difference between those two energy levels. Likewise, whenever an electron is entering from lower energy level to higher energy level, if there is such transition, in such cases, it should be provided energy so that from lower energy level, it can enter into higher energy level. This is the way, due to electron transition from one energy level to another energy level, each electron undergoing transition will be giving out some radiations in terms of h nu. So this will be equal to plus or minus nh nu, and this is also equal to plus or minus nh nu. Plus is for that whenever an electron is entering from higher energy orbital to lower energy level, and negative value it is for lower energy level to higher energy level transition. So from this energy calculation, we can clearly understand how hydrogen spectrum is being formed. Thus, hydrogen spectrum and hydrogen-like atoms spectrum can be clearly explained by using Bohr's atomic model. Now, in this problem, there is magnetic field B. I am considering that magnetic field is into the screen. When a charged particle enter into this magnetic field, this is an electron. It's mentioned it is monoenergetic electron, and this electron beam enter into magnetic field. As a result, it would take a circular path, because whenever a charged particle enter into magnetic field, it will experience a centripetal force, and that force magnitude is equal to Q into V bar cross B bar, which is equal to QVB into sine theta. This equation you will be learning in moving charges and magnetism chapter. F is equal to QVB sine theta. Here theta is equal to 90 degrees. So sine 90 will be equal to 1. Now I can write force F equal to centripetal force. Centripetal force is mv square divided by r, which is equal to qv into b. This v and this v gets cancelled. From here, r is equal to mv divided by q into b, where q is charge of the particle. Substitute all the values here. R will be equal to m is mass of the electron. You need to substitute here. I'll just write it as v divided by q is electron mass. M I am writing it in the denominator because for us E by M ratio is given to you in the problem, and it is B. Velocity of the charged particle is 5.2 into 10 power 6 divided by E by M ratio is 1.76 into 10 power 11, and magnetic field B is 3 into 10 power minus 4 Tesla. So you should evaluate this so that you will be getting radius of the circle traced by the electron beam when entering into magnetic field.